The other day on the radio, they asked a very nice question, which I think I should handle first. And the question was, what is the difference between other sects and Sahaja Yoga? It's a very good question because it gives you a relative idea as to what is reality and what is not. First of all, we should see what is the need of Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja, as you know, is Saha means with, Ja means born. Is born with you, means is spontaneous. It is with you. What is with you is the right to be united with the divine. That is, to be in yoga, to be united with God. Now there are people who just don't believe in God either. It's quite possible. They are frightened to hear the name of God because of various experiences they have had, the various ideologies that have prevailed. But God exists, no doubt, whether you like it or not. But unless and until you have felt the existence of God, to believe in God is difficult. One can understand that. Now, what is Sahaja Yoga? In Sahaja Yoga, what actually happens to a personality is this, that the sleeping power, or we can say unawakened power within you, which is your germinating power, arises, passes through the various subtle centers within you and pierces through this fontanelle area, and what we call it as a baptism, as a blessing or the grace of the Holy Ghost, you get your realization. It's a happening. It's actualization. It is living. It is living. It is the blessing of the living God, not of an artificial one. Like anybody calling you, say, all right, let me baptize you, and just puts their hand on the head. It may not be baptism at all, because how can he? Because he has not raised your kundalini. It's like any seed, supposing we have, and the seed, we say that this seed is living. All right, how do you prove it? Unless and until you germinate it, how can you prove that it's a living thing? So the germination has to take place. Unless and until that happens, how can people believe in anything, whatever you may call it? So this rebirth has to take place, as everybody has told. Now we need not sort of deny all that, defy all that, but we can keep ourselves open to understand what is the thing they are talking about. Now why? What is the need? What is the need for a person to get his realization? That's the main thing. First of all, people have said, you are the spirit. All right, we may be. So why? What is the need? To be the spirit. We are all right as human beings, as flesh, everything. What is the need to be realized? And once you understand the need, then you will understand what is Sahaja Yoga and what our other sects are. The need is this, that you are a part and parcel of the whole. Like a big primordial being you can think of, and he has many cells, and you are one of the cells. But you are not aware of it. You are not yet collective. Now the difference between collective and a mass system is different. In a mass system, you can hypnotize complete mass. They'll start dancing, jumping, screaming, shouting. You can do what you like to masses. If the masses are of a weak-minded thing, you can ask them to commit suicide. You can tell them anything they will do if you just want to use the mass medium. Like they become hysteric. Actually, it is a special thing within us which makes you mimic others. Is a very ancient thing within us, very, very ancient. That we were, as animals, we used to do that. See, you have seen birds. Have you ever seen the birds like cranes flying out? They always go in a triangular way. And as the leader turns, all the rest of them follow it very automatically. So that's this instinct we had to follow others, you see, to copy others. That's a very deep training to our being that we try to follow others. And that's why what happens, we see some people going somewhere, so we think, oh, we should also do the same thing. Is that competition between us? See, this competitiveness has also come from the same seed within us of copying others. See, we try to copy others. Like clubbing now, we have a club, say, club of people who dress up like white suits and things, then there are clubs with the certain type of dress, or you can find, as I last time told you, yards and yards of black suitings you see walking in elite societies. I mean, it's just clubbing, you just want to club it together, put it together, then uniforms are there, and then you have to wear the uniforms, and you sort of feel that you are a part of the mass. It's a part of the mass now. Again, this is a mass thing. But Sahaja Yoga is a collective thing. People talk of collectivity, all of them talk of collectivity, but it is only rational, it is artificial. For example, a husband and wife must live together happily. Now the reason for that they give is that if they don't live happily, this will happen to children, that will happen to children, that will happen, and that it may be that it won't be good for both of them. So we reason it out, go to a point, a rational point, we call it a logical point, where we say, all right, we should not give up the relationship between husband and wife. But supposing husband and wife get realized, then what happens? They become aware of their duty as parents, aware. Awareness is a very different thing from just be in mass. Like husband and wife feel that, you see, marriage is not thinking, but you just feel it within yourself, not as a feeling of emotional style, but actually it becomes your being. For example, after realization, you start feeling the cool breeze in the hand. But supposing the husband and wife are trying to deceive each other, immediately the vibrations will go away. They'll feel no cool breeze. It's finished. They cannot proceed more further with it. Supposing a person has bad habits, say some dirty habits he has developed in his childhood and is continuing with it. After realization, if he starts indulging into it, immediately he'll find he's feeling uneasy and his vibrations are lost. He becomes aware, means on his central nervous system he can feel the bad effects of what we call as bad. He feels burning, he feels different centers are in trouble. I mean, he can feel it just like as you can feel it hot and cold on your fingers. So when you become aware, then real collectivity can come. It is not a rational thing to say, oh, we are interdependent and we have to help each other. We must do this in a way that nobody should be harmed, that we should not be harmed, and all this rationality is not needed. For supposing tomorrow, if somebody tries to put a pin through, immediately the another hand will go there and hit the person and this hand will go back. All the body will react automatically. The whole body will react to aggression on one side or any kind of problem. But it is aware. It is not doing with rationality, it is spontaneous. There is no question of anybody thinking about it, but it happens spontaneously. So to preserve ourselves, to preserve our body, mind, everything, is a disintegrated action before realization. For example, before realization, the brain will say, all right, you do like this. But the heart will say no. For example, supposing a man falls in love with a married woman. So the heart says, oh, carry on, she's a nice lady. Brain says, no, it's not proper, it's disturbing her family life, is not a good thing. The dharma, the religion part in the stomach, which is also a reality. It is not the dharma we talk of in the church or anything. The gentleman can come here, please. There's a seat here. May God bless. So that can be done, and but the realized person does everything in an integrated way. In an integrated way. Like if he is in love with with a married lady, immediately he cannot fall also. He cannot fall in love with a married lady. He just will not. He just doesn't do. No question of then saying, lead us not into temptation. You just don't do bad things. You just don't like it. Because you become aware, and the awareness is not rational at all. We cannot think of awareness which is not rational. Because whatever is not rational, according to us, is nonsensical, is erratical, is arbitrary, is nonsensical. But it is a sense that develops within you. It's an actual sense within you that develops. Not the way it is developed with thinking, the sense with your mind, but the sense in your organs, in your body, in your being, in your heart, that you just don't do it. This is awareness, and this is collectivity. And those who cannot rise to collectivity cannot be good Sahajogis. And once you understand that this comes through the awakening of your spirit, then you understand all the problems of the world can only be solved if human beings become that collective being. That collective being is the spirit. And this collective being, if it is somehow awakened in our attention, then we automatically become that. Automatically we become collectively conscious. We don't have to rationalize it, just there. Means a little child will immediately say, oh, mother, see, this man has got problems. How do you know? Oh, all my fingers are burning. That person is not denounced because he is not well, whatever may be the problem. That person is not discarded, nor is told that he is good for nothing. But immediately you feel the problem as a witness of that person. And you have a power, because you are collectively conscious. As you can correct within yourself, you can correct others also, because you are collectively conscious. Means you have the power to correct another person, to relieve him of the pain, troubles and everything, to help him out, to cure him, to do whatever is needed, just by yourself. Because at the point where you are, at the spirit point, you are one with the spirit. I would say, like, while I'm talking to you, I'm only connected with this to you. But supposing I was on a radio station, then I'm connected with many. That point of connection is the spirit. And unless and until you have achieved that point of connection, the rest of all your doings are good for nothing. Now, what is the difference between a sect and Sahaja Yoga? In Sahaja Yoga, an individual, again, we are all individuals before realization. The other day, as I told you in Easter, we are all like eggs. And that's the sign of a human being, that he's still an egg. He lives in a shell. He thinks of himself. He thinks of his family. Is good in a way. He thinks of his country. Everything good up to that point. Because he's a shell. Whatever he tries to make himself big, it's United Nations, everything you be. But that shell business will remain in you. It will be there showing results. But when you get that shell broken completely and you are a bird, you just fly out. So the day of resurrection, as I said, the day of resurrection has started. Is mentioned in the Quran many a times, much more times than about the day of doom. This is the day of resurrection, where people have to be resurrected, to be their spirits, as Christ himself has done that for us by crossing the gates of Agya Chakra. Now this is not a sect, because there is nothing unreal about it, nothing unreal. There is no hypnosis, nothing. You are completely aware of what you are doing. You are aware that there is your power within yourself. And that power is flowing. And that you become that power. But that power is not of domination or overpowering anybody, but of love. But of love of God, which is doing each and every work of this world. For these flowers have come out from that. These flowers become fruit because of that. Because of that power, people conceive children. Because of that you are born. Because of that power, you have become from amoeba to this stage. So that instinct of the mass is very much now prevalent and used in these sects. They just give a mass feeling to people that, you see, a competition is set in. First of all, in all these Western cities especially, people are conscious of their money power. So they use that also. So you pay some money. Like on a horse, you pay a certain amount, they pay for a sect. So much money I'll pay. The other says, have you paid so much? I mean, you will be surprised in the elite societies, they talk like that. Oh, these days, I'm having so much of money and I want to go and join a sect, this sect or that sect or that sect. Because a competition is set in. Anywhere you see these musicians and singers when they sing. Actually, it was all maneuvered. It was all maneuvered in the beginning, that they get hold of some people who are weak-minded, who do not know their willpower. So, to overpower them and use that instinct, that subconscious instinct in them, to excite them. And once they are excited, they all go mad, and they become hysterical. And that hysteria is used today out and out by all the sects. And that's why people are so crazy. If you look at them, you can't believe they are anywhere near God. How can they be? They all look crazy, possessed, mad people. But this collectivity is to be understood in its all dimensions in Sahaja Yoga. This is the second task of Sahaja Yoga, which is more difficult than the first one. To give realization is not at all difficult. Because it's a natural thing, it is within you, the time has come, the blossom time is there, you get realization without much difficulty. If not in one sitting, in second sitting you will get it, no doubt. But to establish you as a collective cell of the whole is a very difficult thing. And unless and until you are that, you are thrown out of the whole. If you don't become aware of it, you are just thrown out. Now, collectivity in Sahaja Yoga does not mean that you wear some kind of dresses, all of you wearing same kind of dresses, or doing the same type of thing, or jumping, or any such thing which has no sensible logic in it. It is the collectivity that you feel within yourself, that nearness you feel, not emotionally. Also, I would say, people think it's an emotional attachment to people. It's not emotionally also. It is beyond emotions, it is beyond thought, it is the spirit. Because everybody has got this spirit in them. Only thing you have to become the spirit. Now anything you see, even we can say going to a temple. Now in India, ladies are busy dressing up if they have to go to temple. They'll find out what sari she's wearing, what sari am I going to wear. Like we do it in the churches also. We go there with our best dresses, just watching what dress she has worn. Then we come out of the church, directly we ask a question, where did you get this one? You see. So the whole attention is on a social contact, a social mass feeling within ourselves. So we are not individuals at all at that time, not at all. First we have to be absolute individuals. And then you become a complete, aware part of the whole. But if you are not an individual, say that's why people who belong to these sects or belong to some sort of a commitment or to an organized place, they find it difficult. Because they are not yet prepared to accept that individual jump into the whole. If the whole of it comes, well and good. If the whole doesn't come, they are sticking on to it. Though it can be very superficial also. Like you see in England is a custom to put the fork and spoon in a particular way. In France it is different. In somewhere it is different. Now even that can be a club forming stuff. for us. Because you see, we are Americans, will put it this way, we are English, we'll put it this way, if you are French, we'll put it this way. But it is such a superficial sort of a thing, and if you go into it, it's all superficial. All our clubbing is superficial. Now, if you start getting after it and reacting against it, then you are destroying yourself. You are completely destroyed. There is no need to destroy anything like that. But to be understanding that this is superficial. Nothing, you should not waste your energy in fighting any one of these. There is no need to fight anything to get out of it. There is no need to fight any such thing. What happens that by fighting, you lose your energy for nothing at all. On the contrary, you should understand that all these things are artificial, and you should wait for a moment when you get the reality. But if you fight them also, there's a problem. If you don't fight them and you become one, there's a problem. So both things are energy sapping. We go on thinking about it. Where do we reach? We reach nowhere. So Sahaja Yoga is a system which is the system of the nature. It is not a system of human beings which is artificial or an organization or a mass movement, nothing of the kind. It is the system of the nature itself, which has made you a human being, an individual, now like an egg. Now this individual has to become not the mass, which is an animal instinct, but to become collectively conscious. Has to become. Is a consciousness. Means on the central nervous system you feel that consciousness. And that is what is the reality. We go about into anything understanding that this is right, that is all mental. If you understand everything, whatever is mentally available, you are still in the shell. But what you feel is the point. What you feel on your central nervous system is your real consciousness. The rest of it is your mental activities, imagination, and whatever is mental is man-made. It has no meaning. Like we have written books after books, I don't know how many energies have been wasted in doing all sorts of things. Books after books have written about this, that, all kinds of yarns and yarns of, I should say, imaginary wanderings about things. But that's not the thing, you see. It's within yourself. That's within yourself. Your own spirit resides there in your heart. Is your own power which you should get. And if you can feel that power, then you will be amazed that you don't have to have any United Nations organization and all that. You really enter into the kingdom of God in the sense that you get that power of love which makes you extremely loving, sweet, I should say magnetic, extremely gentle, and also could be very powerful if it comes to use of power. It's extremely powerful. In your behavior, you become an extremely attractive person in the sense that you do not give trouble to others. You do not, on the contrary, you are a troubleshooter, I should say. You are a person who is a peacemaker. Wherever you stand, you create peace and happiness. But this is still outward. Inside you are so tranquil and blissful. And the highest above is that you are so connected that even verbally, if you ask any question, is there God? You start getting great vibrations. The rapport is established. You can see the rapport is now established. You can talk to God. It's easy to say that there is no God. It's very good because then we have no headaches, people think. But all the headaches come because of this kind of a belief also that there is no God. And also there will be headaches if you believe that there is God without knowing. Both things, according to me, are still the two sides of a pendulum. It is not in the center. Or we can say, this is how we go to the right and to the left, but do not ascend. For the ascent, this actual thing, this living thing, this germination has to take place. And that is why Sahaja Yoga transcends all these nonsensical sects. Absolutely. It has no respect for them. It has no respect. because it saps the energy of human beings. It puts them down. It doesn't give them chance to rise to their own power which is within themselves. But with understanding that after all human beings are ignorant about it, they are not very sure. It's all right if they are involved with any other such things, doesn't matter. But in a sect, if you go, I was surprised, I went to a Unity Church, imagine, Unity Church in Houston. They were kind enough to invite me there, and they didn't know how outspoken I was about things, you see. Poor things were in for trouble, I think, after my coming. But whatever it is, I was surprised. They were selling all kinds of books there, all kinds, which are satanic, which are mass movements, which are very detrimental to human beings. And they knew they were. Like in a church, they were selling books of a man who is teaching licentiousness, permissiveness. Can you imagine? Such contradictory thing. I mean, either Christ was wrong or this man was wrong. How can you have both the things together? And they were saying this is unity. This is not unity. This is not unity. This is such a superficial unity of getting all the dust, filth, everything together and gold with it and say now you have it. Do you put in your food the poison and then eat it because you want to unite it? You can only unite things which can be united. You cannot unite all the mess of the world together and say this is unity. You cannot unite Christ with a man who is teaching licentiousness, permissiveness and all kinds of dirty tricks. So one has to understand, the mind plays a very big trick in this, that the mind itself is a very, very tricky thing, it's a very intelligent thing, it beats you there. And you start understanding, oh, let it be, doesn't matter, and you start compromising. How can there be compromise between the food and the poison? Can you have strychnine with food? Simple thing as that. We have to separate. We have to say, this is wrong, this is right. Whether people like it or not, if we have to respect human life, if you have to respect this great creation of God, if you have to see that they get what that is promised to them, are we going to play with their lives, with their body, with everything? Like there are some people who believe that drugs can take you to God. I mean, just imagine the absurdity of it. Now, thank God people know that drugs harm your attention, harm your awareness. There was a book written, I was told, I met somebody in Vancouver who's got a PhD by a book which was written about, I'm forgetting the name of the gentleman, who has described that the alcohol takes you to spiritual life. And it's absurd. The thing that goes against your awareness itself, how can it take you to awareness which is enlightened? It would be something like, cover this light, break all the bulbs, everything, and that will take you to light. It is absolutely absurd. The whole statement is absurd. You cannot go to God if you try to harm your body, harm your mind, harm yourself. Even a person who has had a bad childhood, who is suffered because of something, say war or something. Even such a person is little less blessed. In the beginning, we have to work on him to put his mind at rest, to put his body at rest, to see that there is equilibrium within him, and then only he can get realization. Anybody who is a disturbed man, who is upset, we have to put it right. Now, some people have definitely felt that drugs are going to solve the problem. Honestly, they have felt it. I know they have been very honest about it. They have taken drugs, doesn't matter. That also can be neutralized. Because you are seekers, you have just done that because you are seeking. Is that the main thing is that you must seek and that you must get it. Is the main object of Sahaja Yoga, that is your. So whatever may come, whatever may have happened, doesn't matter. It's going to be corrected, it's going to work out. And then overnight people give up because they realize that this is it. All problems of humanity are because we have not yet found out our spirit, which is a collective being. All international problems, all your political problems, all your economic problems come from that one thing which has not happened to human being. You are still in transition. I would say it would be something like people who are still in the water getting halfway up and halfway down. They don't know whether we are going to be saved or not. But once we have reached the shores, that's all right. That's a little breakthrough that has to take place, and people have to establish their collective consciousness. So there are many who get realization. You see, many come here, they get their realization, then disappear. I've seen. They feel very happy, everything done now. Nothing. You have to become collectively conscious after that. Means you have to educate yourself to understand how to feel that collectivity within yourself. That is more important, more difficult for human beings. Because they are all like, a quick happening, a very quick happening. And the quick happening takes place, no doubt. But that quick happening is just taking you to a point where you have to stay. You have to become. If becoming is a thing, like an egg breaks into a nice little bird, but the bird must learn to fly. If it does not educate itself to fly, it remains something in between egg and bird, and anybody can eat that off. It has no quality as a bird which can save itself, protect itself, and can fly and enjoy. It has no quality of a bird if it is just roaming about like cock and hens. You see, when they were in the forest, they used to fly. I have seen these forest ones flying very high. They can fly just like a eagle. But if you see them on the ground, if they are settled down on the ground, they are eaten up by people who can catch them. Anybody can catch them. So to have that quality, the quality of that collective being, one has to educate and rise above that shell system, that system that has bound them, that has made them an individual, which was important to have a shell for you. The individuality was very, very important, otherwise you would not have been mature. So that a time comes that shell must be broken. Like now, the car is important for me to bring down here, but I have to leave the car to come down inside. In the same way, you have reached a certain stage that up to that point it was all right, but you don't have to carry it on any further, and you have to settle down with a new dimension, a new life within you. And that's what is your second birth. For this, God has placed everything within ourselves. You see that a system. Did anybody speak about Kundalini? You should have. All right, doesn't matter. Now, you see, every time I don't want to report about Kundalini and all that. And there is a system within us called the Kundalini. All is within us. Now, it is very easy to sit down and say, now, Mother, how do you say it is so? I mean, it's good, you see, because people want to know about it. How is it? We have the Kundalini in the triangular bone. And then we say that there are subtle centers which look after, which manifest outside our gross centers, and all these things. We do talk about it. But you can all doubt that, saying, how can there be such a thing? How are we to believe you? But why not? Because I am not taking any money from you. Nothing. By believing me, what is your losses? Nothing. Now the people who are here, you should see and ask them, their lives are all changed. They have become different people. They are enjoying themselves, they have got their own powers, they can manifest them, they have become experts, they look so simple, just like you. But if you see their faces, you'll see how blooming they are. Apart from that they know all about it. They are masters and scholars, and they are great gurus sitting down here around you, and you can also become that. So there's nothing to doubt. But now supposing you are a doubting Thomas, you see, you will doubt. I don't mind. If you doubt also, we'll try to solve the doubt. The main thing is of making you the spirit. That's our job. For that we are here, and you are also for that. So it is better to cooperate with us than to argue and discuss and spoil everybody's attention. You see, some people are such reactionaries. They come, ask questions, and when it comes to realization, they just run away. Mostly we have seen such people who sit down with a very doubting mind all the time. But for what are you doubting? What are you going to lose? What are you going to lose here? Nothing. If you have a cancer, you can be cured. If you have mental problems, they can be cured. All the problems can be cured as a blessing of God. It's true. And apart from that, you become your own power. But if it is a mass system, we don't doubt. You see, so for example, we go to church, we don't doubt. We don't doubt. We don't doubt the priest, we don't doubt anybody. We go to a temple, we never doubt the priest. We just pay as everybody's paying. It's a mass system where it is not. Here you are an individual. That's why you doubt. You are an individual now and you doubt. But I would suggest that better to have your realization than to waste your energy in doubting. Because if you are all seekers, we are going to get your realization, if not today, tomorrow. But only thing, why delay? Sooner the better. But if you have any questions, I would like to answer them. We have all this Kundalini and all that, and I wish Kevin had told you about it, or somebody should have told you. Next time we'll have a lecture about Kundalini, what it is, how it gives realization, how it rises, how it pierces through different chakras, pierces through your fontanelle bone area, and also how it gives you these Chaitanya Laharis, what we call as the cool breeze in the hand, cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. And that's what you have to see. Now, if you have any questions, you may ask, because when you are getting realization, I want you to be free, because you have to go beyond thought, and it just happens without any difficulty. There's nothing to worry. Now, there are people who say that Kundalini is very dangerous and all that. Maybe for people who do not know anything about it. Like if you put your hand inside this, you'll get a shock, because they don't know what this means, you see. But the one who knows the job knows it. It's very simple. Even children can do it if they know it. Should we have realization? All right. Now, for getting realization, it's a very simple method, is that you have to expose yourself, your fingers. You see, these fingertips are the ends of all the sympathetic nervous system. And these two hands represent those 7 centers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 centers as you see in the hands, exactly like that. See, you can even tally it later on. You can see. For example, if you have a liver trouble, you can feel them on your fingers. Everything you can feel on your fingertips. They say on my fingertips. That's how you become an expert. English language has many unconscious expressions, which has shown that how you become realized. Now, so what happens that you just have to close your eyes. First of all, you must close your eyes, because when Kundalini rises and pierces through this center of Christ, then there's dilatation of pupil. So we want your eyes to be closed at that time, so the Kundalini rises smoothly, and then she pierces out from here. When she pierces out from here, you can feel the cool breeze coming out of your head. You can feel it. But you have to have little melting of the sensitivity. You see, some people are not so sensitive and they do not feel it. Doesn't matter. If you don't feel it today, you'll feel it tomorrow. But most of them feel it, and these people, other Sahajogis, will look after it. So we have to be wise. We have to be sensible about it, and it will work out. It will work out with all of you. It has to work out. You are seekers. This is your right to have it, and you are having it because it is your right. I'm just here I tell all these people that I'm like a bank which is cashing your checks. You have done good work in your last lives and these lives, and you are not wrongdoers. You are good people. You are seekers, and you are seekers of God of ancient times. You have come here to take your realization, you better get it. It's simple as that. My job is to give you realization. I'm paid for it, you can think like that. And that is what it is, and you have to have it. There is no quarrel between you and me. If you don't want to have it, it's all right. But it is with me all the time, safe. Whenever you want, you can have it. But better to have it as soon as possible. Now put your hands towards me like this, and just close your eyes. Just put your eyes, close your eyes, and you'll be amazed the difference it will create. Just put both the hands towards me. I mean, it is a simple method. Why you are putting it? Because these centers must be exposed. It's important. Very simple. It is very simple method. Please close your eyes. Please close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Now there are problems within ourselves. We show up in our Kundalini rising, not to you, but to the people who are sitting here, who are realized souls, and when you are realized souls, you will also feel the same. At this time, the problem is on the heart. There is too much pressure on the heart. I would request all of you not to open your eyes, but put your right hand on your heart, inside your coat, jackets, just on the heart. There's pressure on your heart, and in the heart resides the spirit. Just put your left hand, and you can ask a question, a very fundamental question within your heart. You can ask me a question within your heart, Mother, am I the spirit? Just to ask that question, because you are the spirit, but just ask that question. Ask thrice. Now, while talking to you about Sahaja Yoga, I might have said something that might have upset you, or you might be thinking that I've done this wrong and that wrong. But forget the past. In Sahaja Yoga, there's nothing like sin when you come for your realization. It's all washed off. So don't worry about that, and don't feel guilty. If you feel guilty, of course there's a problem. But you just say within yourself, in your heart, that, Mother, I'm not guilty. You're not guilty at all anymore now. Anything you have done, anything that you think is very wrong, forget it for the time being. Just forget it and say it thrice, Mother, I am not guilty. Now the third thing you have to ask is to say, Mother, am I my own master? Am I my own guru? Also ask this question 3 times. Please put both the feet on the ground in a straight way. You see, the Mother Earth helps us by that. Now you may ask a question again, saying, Mother, am I the part and parcel of the whole? Please don't feel guilty. Please don't feel guilty. Please don't feel guilty. It's a fashion, I tell you, feeling guilty. It's a competition. Who feels more guilty? People like to have some sort of Greek tragedies artificially built around their lives. Please ask the question, am I the part and parcel of the whole? Just ask the question, please. Because collectivity comes to people who are large-hearted, who are big-hearted, big people, who are not small. Now please put both the hands towards me, both the hands, and just say, Mother, I have forgiven all the people. I have forgiven everyone. Please put both the hands towards me and just forgive everyone. Forgive everyone. Say, I have forgiven everyone. Mother, I have forgiven everyone. Forgive. Now you have to say this because I cannot go against your freedom. You are free to choose. So you have to say, Mother, may I have my realization? Will you please give me realization? Because I cannot force it upon you. You have to ask for it. It's your freedom. Just ask for it.